Over the past few weeks, we have seen a historic drop in Donald Trump's approval rating. And it is not just independent voters and, of course, Democrats who understand the terrible job that Donald Trump is doing. It's also his own MAGA supporters who are realizing how destructive his agenda will be to their lives. All that we warned them about is finally coming true. But it's not just MAGA voters, it's also MAGA celebrities like Joe Rogan, who was just asking questions during the election, but clearly not the right ones, as he is realizing that Donald Trump was lying to him the whole time, and so was his buddy Elon Musk, who he called out on his show in a recent interview that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into the crazy Rogan clips with Elon Musk, I think we need a little bit of context on what they were talking about from Senator Bernie Sanders.
Let's be clear about what's happening right now in Washington, D.C. Elon Musk is the wealthiest guy in the world. He contributed $270 million to elect Donald Trump as president. Surprise, surprise. He is now having the most important job in the United States government. That's what happens when you make a huge campaign contribution. And by the way, Musk today is $150 billion wealthier than he was before Trump was elected. How's that? Not bad. Now, what Musk is trying to do right now is to destroy USAID, a program which helps hungry and sick children all over the world, the poorest people in the world. That's what the richest guy in the world is doing. Today, he's going after USAID. Trust me, tomorrow, he will be going after the programs that impact you and your family. That is Medicaid, that is Medicare, that is community health centers, that is education, that is Pell Grants, that is affordable housing. Together, we are going to stand up and fight back, get organized, and tell Trump that this country is a democracy. The government is supposed to work for all of us, not just the billionaire class. So stand up and fight back. We can do it. We can stop them. Thank you.
We have seen Doge go after every agency they can that actually helps people. Of course, nothing that provides billions of dollars to Elon Musk's companies. There's no investigation. There's no audit at the Pentagon. They're not looking at that waste, fraud, and abuse. But the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, sure, go after it. USAID, of course, let's tear it up. Department of Education, get it out of here. Only the things that actually help regular people, nothing that props up billionaires. Of course not. And that is why Elon Musk next is turning his attention to your Social Security, because it's the biggest chunk of change that he can start to hack away at to give himself an even bigger tax cut, because $5 trillion apparently isn't enough for him and his rich buddies. And he was talking all about that on Rogan's podcast, and you can see a little bit of skepticism in this clip, but in the next one is where Rogan calls him out.
Well, I mean, the government's one big pyramid scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, you can tell me better than anybody.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Oh, so, well, people pay into Social Security, and the money goes out of Social Security immediately, but the obligation for Social Security is your entire retirement career. So you're paying with you're paying like if you look at the future obligations of Social Security, it far exceeds the tax revenue. Far. Have you ever looked at the debt clock?
Yes.
Okay. There's our present day debt, but then there's our future obligations. So when you look at the future obligations of Social Security, the actual national debt is like double what people think it is because of the future obligations. So basically people are living way longer than expected. And there are fewer babies being born. So you have more people who are retired and that live for a long time and get retirement payments. So the future obligations. So however bad the financial situation is right now for the federal government, it will be much worse in the future.
So clearly Elon is just BSing. We know that. He is not smart enough to know what he's talking about. Joe Rogan is not smart enough to know what he's talking about, although he does push back in the clip that we're about to check out, calling out Elon's lie on Social Security. But this is a point that if you tune into this show consistently, you know we're always making. These people are stupid. We have to stop pretending that they're geniuses, that Elon is this brilliant businessman and him and his doge bags know things about the government that us normal folks just couldn't. They have these amazing brains, and so they're better at firing like people who make sure Ebola doesn't come to America, people who safeguard our nuclear arsenal. I don't know, FAA agents? Yeah, they're so smart that they're able to do that. Great job, guys. But we have to we have to get rid of this. We have to get rid of this idea. We got to cut it off. And surprisingly, Joe Rogan is starting to do that. Take a look.
Now they're talking about Social Security.
Yeah.
And that people are receiving Social Security that are 150 years old. But I don't think that is the reality as it's being explained by people who understand COBOL, the language, and this computer programming language that they use is ancient, right? Which is kind of crazy that they're still using that, right?
It's the government. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So some guy who understands it was explaining that if certain factors aren't taken into consideration or certain things aren't entered in, you know, like date of birth or when there's certain things,
or date of death, or,
right? But it doesn't even necessarily mean that all these people are receiving checks,
right? Right. They're just listed on the files,
right?
And it doesn't mean money's going out to them. And so, yeah, again, from a messaging perspective, you know, does Elon need to screenshot that and then send it out as a tweet or whatever we call X nowadays, and then suddenly you've got a couple million people going, oh my God, we're paying dead people. Well,
right. That's the problem with being hyperbolic.
Yeah, are you finally starting to figure out that he doesn't know what he's saying, that he's lying, and that he shouldn't be broadcasting his lies en masse to everyone on the internet on the platform that he controls? Did you just start to figure that out, Joe? Is this a new realization? It took you that long? For a guy who's always just asking questions, you seem to not be paying attention to the answers or asking questions that actually matter. Like, is the richest man in the world lying to me to steal more money from regular working people? The answer is yes, by the way. That's exactly what he's doing. Under this guise of waste, fraud, and abuse, what Republicans have always done is attack the government, say that it's broken, only to run for government offices, try to break them even more, and then say, oh, I guess we should just get rid of the whole system, which is exactly what Bernie Sanders was talking about in a clip I think we got to check out right here.
We're hearing this line from the White House that tens of millions of people are getting Social Security fraudulently. Either they're dead or...
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
We've gotten no evidence of it, but I looked into this, and what we do know is that there's a lot of people that still remain in the database, but as far as people who are actually getting payments, it was 44,000 who got payments according to an audit that was done in 2023.
Out of how many millions?
There's tens of millions. So when they say tens of millions, that would be
this is what we are dealing with.
Security.
We're not only dealing with oligarchy, the incredible power of the very, very rich. We're not only dealing with a move toward authoritarianism, we're dealing with what is new to America. You know, politicians have always lied, nothing new about that. But the level that we're seeing right now, the big lie, over and over again. And it goes out, there's a big lie, and then it goes out on Musk's Twitter to, several hundred million people, repeated over and over again. And now the word is out there, oh, people on Social Security, 150 years of age. Can you believe it? The whole thing is corrupt. It's broken. Well, where does that lead you, Caitlin? What's the next step? If government can't do anything, if Social Security doesn't work, if Medicare doesn't work, if Medicaid doesn't work, we're going to get rid of all of those programs, and we're going to give it over to the billionaire class to run it.
That's what you think they're ultimately trying to do.
Yeah, at the end of the day, not only do they,
Social Security.
they want massive cuts to programs for the working class in this country in order to give tax breaks to the very rich, and then they want to move to the privatization of every important government agency. Just the other day, and this really upset me, because I used to be chairman of the Veterans Committee, and I feel very strongly about making sure that those men and women who put their lives on the line to defend this country get a fair shake. Right away, 1,000 employees at the VA laid off at a time when the VA healthcare system certainly needs more help than they have right now. So at the end of the day, yeah, they're going to want to privatize Veterans Administration, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and the post office, by the way.
If President Trump were seated next to you, he might say, well, I pledged on the campaign trail that I'm not going to touch Social Security.
Yeah.
What would you say to voters who bring
I
that
think
up?
the president has many attributes, but credibility and honesty are not one of them. So I would have my doubts. I'm not saying they're going to go after Social Security tomorrow. They're not. But this is the groundwork. I mean, this is what you do. You destroy the credibility of programs that are complicated, programs that have tens of millions of people. This is the welfare queen again. Look at this person. They got this, they got that. Kill the whole program.
Well, the interesting part about that is actually before Trump took office, the Treasury Department clawed back and recovered $31 million in payments from Social Security that shouldn't have gone out that went out. That was something that they were doing over a 5-month period to deceased individuals. But the point is, I think, that what the Doge team says they're doing was already happening. They were going back and getting the money that was being.
And all that I would ask the American people to understand is that when you have programs dealing with tens of millions of people, is anyone going to say, hey, there is no fraud, everything is running efficiently? Of course not. There are going to be problems. Every bloody program out there, there are going to be problems. But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
This is the plan. This has been the years-long, decades-long assault on institutions, on expertise, on people who know how to do their jobs correctly in our government. That is what this has been all about. Because if they can just hack away at your trust, they can then start getting rid of the institutions that matter most. If they say, oh, the government's corrupt, look at all this fraud in Social Security, fraud that's actually a lie. Elon doesn't know what he's talking about. He can then say, as Bernie pointed out, well, maybe we get rid of it all. Maybe there's a reason we're making those $1 trillion cuts to Medicaid that are going to kick people out of their nursing homes, shut down rural hospitals, leave more Americans bankrupt because of medical bills. By the way, the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. People are going to die because of Elon Musk. People are going to die because of his actions, because of his lies, and because of his greed. That's what it's about. Saw a lot of Republicans yesterday saying that President Zelensky should have worn a suit. President Zelensky needs to be politer, more respectful when he's asking for money. Well, I think that you should take a different look. You should check out a different foreigner who comes to our country begging for billions to prop himself up, dressing ridiculously and saying stupid things in the Oval Office. His name is Elon Musk. Maybe you take a look into him. I think he's the real enemy. And we're going to keep calling him out on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.